Hello, everyone. It's time for Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanas. This is episode 221, season 9. Today's date is May 20th, 2023, and welcome to the show. On today's program, I will talk about my memories of playing these two board games. They were from the same company, the Kohner company, that is. First one is Trouble and Headache, and I played those games when I was a kid in the 1970s in Chicago. And the second topic I will discuss is Bananas Magazine. Oh boy, this is going to be a riot. So I will get started on the show, but first the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Rolaids Antacid. And here's a commercial from 1976. So Rolaids spells relief, Rolaids. So sit back and relax, and I'll be right back with the program. Thank you, everyone.
How do you spell relief?
When I get acid indigestion, I spell relief, Rolaids.
For heartburn, Rolaids.
Rolaids spells relief. In this test with Rolaids active ingredient, laboratory acid changes color to prove Rolaids consumes 47 times its weight in excess stomach acid. How do you spell relief?
For gas, I spell it Rolaids.
Rolaids spells relief, fast relief.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Rolaids spells relief, Rolaids. I can't even spell it correctly. Sorry. This product is still around. Let's see. So it was introduced in 1954, and those commercials were legendary. Probably starting from the radio, television, but they were very prominent in the 70s and 80s. I used to see them in prime time when I watched on Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 7 in Chicago. Actually, when I get that kind of condition, upset stomach or heartburn, I use Tums. Rolaids I never used that much, I remember the original flavor. They weren't that it wasn't that tasty. I used to see them on display in drugstores or grocery stores. Like, for example, the drugstores, it was Edwards Drugstore on West 79th Street in Chicago, right near my house in Ashburn. Also Crestline Pharmacy, right next to the Tums and the, believe it or not, Certs, all the candies like that, Lifesavers. And also at grocery stores like a Jewel, Dominic's. You see them when you're at the checkout line. You have the candy. They still have those. They tempt you. You want to buy a candy bar or something like that. And there was a recall or something around over 10 years ago. I don't know what happened, but they took it off the market, and then it returned about 10 years later. So it was about 2010. So everything's fine now. Also, they come in bottles like that, and their tagline, of course, is that's how you spell relief. And that's stuck in my mind, and I'm sure from other people's as well. But now they come in other flavors, that was the peppermint one, the original one. I'm not crazy about peppermint. I like spearmint, but they come in cherry, fresh mint, fruit, tropical punch, cool mint, berry, and apple. Thank goodness for that. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I said I'm going to talk about my memories of playing these board games, Trouble and Headache. Also, I'll discuss about Bananas Magazine. Before I get started, I want to mention one or two things. With the Bananas Magazine, someone emailed me and said, will you please talk about this magazine? You know, I grew up with this when I was a kid in the 70s. I read it all the time. I said, sure, okay, I will do that, because I did another magazine about a few episodes before. I talked about Dynamite Magazine, which came out around the same time. I'm sure it's from the same place. I'm not sure. But actually, to tell you the truth, I didn't read Bananas that much. So, but I read Dynamite Magazine. I went into more in depth of that, which is kind of nice. But that was more fun than reading that, seeing the celebrities on the covers. Mm-hmm. And then let's see what else happened this week. Not really. There was one person that emailed me and said, "Oh, whatever you do, don't stop. Don't stop with the podcast. I love listening to it. I do my run when I listen to your podcast, like he just does a jog, which is kind of cool." Or someone says, "Hey, I'm on my Peloton and listen to your podcast." Oh, that's nice. And he asked me, why don't you get one for yourself? You're into this health kick. And I said, I don't think so. First of all, one, it's expensive. Second of all, there's no room for me to put it, and that, I don't want that. I heard it could be recalled, so I hope everything's settled with that. I like bike riding, but I'd rather go outside and ride a bike. I haven't rode a bike since I was a teenager, so maybe I'll take it up again, when the weather's nice, because I love to ride around in a neighborhood, not be stuck in the basement riding a bike. But, times have changed. But still, there's no room for me to put it in there. It's a good product, and then it's electronic. You see other people and you see how many miles you do and all that. That's fine. Okay. All right. So let's get started on the board games. First one, we're going to talk about Trouble. Now, this game was introduced in 1965 from the Kohner Company. And in the UK, it's called Frustration, and in Finland, it's called Frustration. And the object of the game is you have 4, or maybe 2. No, you have 4 players. You could play with 2 to 4 players, and then you get these pegs, these 4 pieces. And then in the middle of the game is like a dome. It's dome shaped. It's like a glass dome, and there's a die. Singular for dice. Okay. And it had these numbers on that. It's 1 through 6. And it was a device called Pop-O-Matic. Oh, I love that sound. I miss that sound. And I used to play it all the time without even playing the game. Like that. And then, when you buy this game, you can actually Pop-O-Matic like inside the box. You could do that. And then later on, it was developed by the Kohner brothers. Their names were Frank and Paul. Like that. And it was like sort of loosely based on Pachisi. Like Pachisi, or is it Parcheesi? It's Pachisi, from India. And so I'll give you my memories of that game. When I lived in Roseland neighborhood in Chicago in the early 1970s, I asked my mom, "Can I please get this game?" I saw a commercial on TV, and it looked like a lot of fun, and I was fascinated by the Pop-O-Matic. She said, "Okay." I think she bought it at People's Store, Gately's People's Store, on right near our apartment building, 112th Street and Michigan. I think she bought it that, or there was some toy store. There was a toy store right across the street. There was a one on the corner. I forgot the name of it. I'm not sure exactly, but she did buy it, and I was fascinated. So I played with my brothers, two of my brothers, that is, and we played for like a long time. We got bored with it, but so the object of the game is so you have these pieces, and then if you different colors like that, like it's red, green, blue, and yellow, and you line them up like that. And the object game is you try to line them. You try to when you hit the die of how many moves. Let's say you hit a 3 and you go 1, 2, 3, and then you want to line up. So you get them a line across by there. So each of those. If you hit your opponent's piece, they go back at the beginning. They do that. And if you hit a 6, you play twice. You get an extra turn like that. So that's kind of cool. Like that. And so that was fine. And the game is still around. Hasbro, it was later bought by Milton Bradley, famous for their board games. And then now it's part of Hasbro. And you can still buy it anywhere. You buy it at Walmart, Target. You can order it at Amazon.com. I'm sure they sold it at Toys R Us many times, even before Children's Bargain Town probably had this game. I'm sure they did, or any department store that had a toy department, like Sears, JCPenney, maybe Marshall Fields, Weebles, probably did. So that's what I'm trying to remember because I love that game. So that was kind of fun. I really like it, and I'm gonna play. I found a commercial for Trouble, and I will play that. But first, I'll talk about Headache really quickly. So Headache was similar to that, only you don't use. It's not these pegs. They're not plastic. They are cones. And so you hit the Pop-O-Matic. But the thing is, the die had not just the die. They had they had the numbers 1 through 6. Also, they had another die. It was the different colors. Red, yellow, green, and blue. Let's see, that was introduced in 1968. Same company from the Kohner brothers, and then Milton Bradley brought those. So I did have Headache too, and I'm sure my mom bought it from the same place. And there was a starting point for each of the 4 colors, and then you had what the object of the game is if you stack up all your cones. You win the game. So that's kind of fun like that. And so right now I'm going to play the commercial for Pop-O-Matic. This is for Trouble, Trouble, with the Pop-O-Matic device. This is from 1970. So sit back and enjoy, and I'll be right back. Thank you, everyone.
Have you got trouble? Wait, don't run. This kind of trouble is lots of fun. Pop-O-Matic pops the dice, pops the 6, and you move twice. Race your men around the track and try to send the others back. That's Pop-O-Matic Trouble. The game is fun for Dad and Mother, and Sis can trouble her mean old brother. Trouble, that's the name of Kohner's Pop-O-Matic game. The most exciting chase game that makes trouble fun for everyone. Get Kohner's Pop-O-Matic game. Trouble, that's the name.
Okay, everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Trouble Pop-O-Matic game. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a commercial for Headache. I wanted I think there's one, but I want a vintage one, that came out, but couldn't find one. You get that thrill when you're a child and you want a board game so badly. You saw it on TV or you were out with your parents and you see them on display, and you want to say to your mom and dad, "I want to buy this game. I really do," and it's real. And then sometimes they say no, it's expensive, or they say you have enough games, like that. You get disappointed as a child. That's happened to me a couple of times when I was a kid, but most of the time, I did get games. I really did, and that's what makes those memories wonderful. Not just board games, but certain types of toys, from Fisher Price or Tonka toys, or like any other toys and games, like, for example, dominoes, like that, or yo-yos. That's good, like Duncan yo-yos. Maybe I'll talk about that someday, like that. So, like I said before, these games are available. If you want to relive your childhood, from the comments I got from people yesterday when I posted this, or was it a couple of days ago, they said they still have the games and they still play with their children. They play with their grandchildren, which is wonderful. I'm glad this generation does. They're too busy on the phones. That's not the same. You have to play an actual game. That's what matters. Yeah, the playing on a phone or a tablet, it's convenient, but it's for me, it's not good for my eyes. So I'd rather be in person, like on a dining room table, like that, to play, or on the kitchen table, just play games, like Trivial Pursuit. Okay. Next up, I'm going to talk about Bananas Magazine. Like I said before, someone sent me a message and said, "Why don't you do this magazine? Please do this one for me." I grew up with this magazine. I loved it. And I said, okay, I will do one, because a few episodes back, I talked about Dynamite Magazine, which I did. I did buy that when I was a child. I got it from when I went to Correas Elementary School in the 1970s. And they had those book clubs. I think that's what they're called. And then you would get an order form from your teacher. You would check off which books you want, and you get the money from your parents. And I got a couple books, but I always wanted that magazine. I think I'm the only one that got that, which is odd. But I don't remember exactly if Bananas was there. I'm not sure. Dynamite, of course, was there, but not Bananas. So anyway, Bananas Magazine was a scholastic teen magazine, and it was published, of course, by the Scholastic Scholastic Incorporated. They were like in competition with that. And what's best about these? They were entertaining, but not dirty. It's for kids and teenagers. And what consisted of these magazines was the same thing as Dynamite. That had articles. Some were funny, interviews with celebrities, comic strips, jokes. Trying to be like Mad or Cracked magazines. But those are funnier. And the editor of those magazines was, his name was Bob Stein, who would gain fame as the writer R.L. Stein. And he's wrote these scary books of Goosebumps. I never read those books, but I heard they were good, but not too scary, but scary enough for kids, like that. And let's see what else. So I'm going to give you a lowdown on the cover. So let's see. The first cover of Bananas Magazine was Jimmy Walker from Good Times, Dynamite, and also Freddie Prinze from Chico and the Man. I love that show. That's hilarious. Looking good. Used to say that all the time. So on the cover, they had these two guys like back to back holding bananas in each hand. So that's funny. Other celebrities were on the covers were the Beatles. You have let's see, Bo and Luke. Hazard from the Dukes of Hazzards, also the Fonz, Henry Winkler, also Welcome Back, Kotter. They had all the actors, of course, the Sweat Hogs, Charlie's Angels. That's the one I posted yesterday. Also Charlie's Angels. But there was also not some issues featured individuals, the individuals from Charlie's Angels, like Jacqueline Smith, Kate Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, of course, Cheryl Ladd, that replaced Farrah. Also Three's Company, that with John Ritter, Joyce DeWitt, and Suzanne Summers. Then Suzanne Summers was on by herself on a cover. The second issue was on Bananas was Robert Blake, who then starred as Beretta. He just died a few months ago, so that's a shame. But there he was. So I heard that's sought after. It's very popular. Like that. Let's see who else. They had Wonder Woman, Linda Carter. They had the Bionic Woman, Lucy Wagner. Like that. Also, another Charlie's Angels was Shally Hack, who replaced Kate Jackson. They had her. Cheryl Tiegs, the famous model. Yeah, she was very famous at the time. Very pretty lady. She's still pretty. Really. And also, let's see what else they had. They had John Denver. They had Lonnie Anderson. They had Superman. They also had Dolly Parton, which is amazing. Yeah, that's kind of cool, like that. Eric Estrada from Chips. I think they had the A-Team, Mr. T. Let's see. Also, they had John Belushi. Mork and Mindy, starred Robin Williams and Pam Dauber. Like that. I don't know about Laverne and Shirley. I don't know if they had that. Also, they had the 50th issue. They had Tony Geary from General Hospital, which means I think that was the time where Luke and Laura got married in 1981. That was a big deal. It really was a really big deal, like that. Also, Gary Coleman from Different Strokes. They had him there. Let's see what else they had. I think they had Knight Rider. No, I don't think so. No. Oh, they had the cast of Taxi. The show started in 1978. Like that. Oh, they had the Facts of Life, with Charlotte Rae, Mrs. Garrett. And Magnum P.I., starred Tom Selleck. Also, they had a cover of Pac-Man, that came out in 1982. Yeah, it's kind of cool, like that. Also, the Bee Gees, when disco was king back then. Oh, they had them, of course, like that. And let's see. They also had a yearbook, like Bananas Yearbook. That's probably like a year in review, something like that. Also, they had Gilda Radner from Saturday Night Live. They have Emily Litella. Never mind. She was wonderful. I miss her. I do. And let's see what else. They had Dallas, to start Larry Hagman and all the cast. Oh, they were great. I really did. Let's see. And they had Starsky and Hutch. That's kind of cool. I'm trying to think who else. I guess that's it. That's all I could find. They had Donna Summer, from the disco age. Also Star Wars. Yeah, they had. And there's a cover with the Darth Vader. That's kind of nice. That must be a collectible. That really is a collect. I'm sure it is a collectible like that. And anyway, the magazine ran up to maybe the early 1980s. About 1983 or so. But they're still, like I said, they're very collectible. You can find them on eBay if you can. I'm sure they're there. If you're interested in a certain celebrity that you're a big fan, snatch it up and buy it. Everyone has a favorite like that. Let's see who else we got, and then I will end the show. Let's see who else. No, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So that woman that sent me the email, you got your wish. So so Bananas Magazine has been discussed on Van Chicagoland Stories. That's good. Okay. So that's it for this episode. I will do a recap of what I talked about. I talked about my memories of Trouble and Headache board games with the Pop-O-Matic from the Kohner Company. Also, Bananas Magazine. That came out in the mid 1970s. I think it came out in 1976. I'm sorry I failed to mention that. That's just around the same time Dynamite did. I think Dynamite came out in 75, like that. Let's see, did 75? 74, excuse me. Oh yeah, it came earlier. Yeah, it did. Yeah, let me see when Bananas came out. I just want to make sure. I don't think it was 74. No. So, let's see. Yeah, I think after that. Yeah, I think it was 75. 75. It came a year later, so that's good. There were other, if you remember other teen magazines like Teen Beat or 16. Used to see those all the time, like that on display. So that's nice. Now, I don't know if they do teen magazines now today. For example, I'm not sure. Probably. I don't know. I haven't paid attention to them. That's okay. All right. So this is Pico Steiners, your host for Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Thank you for joining me. I had a wonderful time. The next episode will come probably Tuesday, and that will be episode 222. And no, I am not going to talk about Room 222, the TV show. Well, maybe I'll mention it. That starred Karen Valentine and Michael Constantine. Used to watch it in the 70s. First on Channel 7 and then on Channel 44. When Channel 44 had American programming. So that'd be kind of... I will mention that. Okay. So here's bye-bye from me. And here's Ray Rayner with a little traveling music saying bye, bye, bye. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend. Okay, so long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.